Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to the third International Conference on Smart Computing and Cyber Security 2023. And this is the session 4, which is about the technology. In this session, we have 10 presentations about the technology. And the first presentation is about the usability comparison of label e-commerce platform in Indonesia. And due to the internet, the presentation is recorded, and I'm going to play the video. This session have 10 presentations about technology, and the first presentation is about the usability comparison of label e-commerce platform in Asia. And hello everyone, as of all, the presentation is recorded and I'm going to play videos comparison of the e-commerce platform in Indonesia. So the first company e-commerce which is Tokopedia, Bukalapak, and Shopee. So I will divide this 1990. So I will present on behalf of this paper. So the outlines of presentation. For the idea, they want to know how fast
Okay, that was the first presentation. I would like to thank Professor Ifzal Abdul Qadir for his nice presentation. Actually, I have a couple of questions, but I'm going to share them by email. Now, let's move to the second presentation, which is about the real-time patient health data monitoring system based on Internet of Things. And again, this lecture is, or this presentation is recorded. So I'm going to share the link for the video.
I have a couple of questions, but I'm going to share them by email. Now let's move to the second presentation, which is about the real-time patient health data system based on Internet of Things. And again, this presentation is recorded. So I'm going to share the link for the video. Hello everyone. Like our local ID is 1677. Present to the conference on smartphone service smartphone. Okay. So
temperature, so we calibrate with the temperature sensor. Blood pressure sensor, we calibrate. ECG, we calibrate the computational measurement. So we got 96 accuracy of the data. Then, as mentioned just now, for the picture development, we develop a mobile app and forward for the cloud computing, more data analytics. So in the cloud, we do as well data analytics for every patient, so they get record alert when the abnormality happen to the patient, so we can triggers the alerts. Something abnormal, so we can calibrate with inform medical staff directly. So blood pressure, so we calibrate. That's all we calibrate the presentation, just short measurement presentation, so we got 96 about how accuracy our system monitor of the data patient in the health cloud to get the data patient mentioned just now for the conventional directly. Then we can do remotely and all data develop a mobile app, and the sometime we can analyze how the record history, more data analytics, so we can do forecasting prediction for the future as well based data analytics for every patient. So they get all. Thank you very much. When the our presentation for this patient, so we can trigger ID 16 something abnormal. Thank you. Calibrate with inform medical staff directly. So blood pressure, so we calibrate. That's all. The presentation, just short measurement presentation, so we got 96 about how accuracy our system monitor of the data patient in the health cloud to get the data patient mentioned just now for the conventional directly. Then we can do remotely and all data develop a mobile app, and the sometime we can analyze how the record history, more data analytics, so we can do forecasting prediction for the future as well based data.
Okay, that was the second presentation. Again, I would like to thank Professor Ifzal Abdulkadir for his nice presentation. The questions about the presentation will be shared by email. And now it is a time to move to the third presentation. But it seems that it's not connected yet. So I will be just waiting for the next presenter. So I think we have the presenter 4. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So are you ready for your presentation?
Yes. Can I present a recorded video?
So if you are available now, why don't you make it live?
Yeah. Since I had it all done already, I'm going to I will present it to you. I've just recorded it right now, so I can submit it to you. And any other questions you might have, I'm free to answer live.
So I think instead of recording, I think you can make it now live. Do you have the PPT? You can share the slides and you can start.
Okay.
I already assigned you as a co-host, so you can share the slides.
Okay.
So I think we have the presenter.
Okay. Okay, so my project is what we worked on was the implementation of reverse TCP for enumeration and exploitation of Windows systems. This was done by myself, Fidel Omondi Odhiambo, Simplice Ntungane, and Grace Kennedy. The chapters are the introduction, the literature review, methodology, and finally the discussion. The overview, we're going to cause a victim device to send out a connection to specific Simplice Ntungane, Grace Kennedy, port number and IP address. This causes the firewall to be bypassed because firewalls can only detect incoming but not outgoing. And in the hacker side, the listener is going to be launched using the Metasploit. It's going to be a Metapreter session. It is going to be tied to the IP address and the port number, which is very vital. The IP address and port number is going to be that of the attacking device. And once the connection is established, the Metapreter session is launched, and now the system has been compromised. So this is an illustration of how the attack is going to be performed, whereby the attacker, which is going to be a Kali Linux operating system, is going to send out a payload, which is an exploit to the victim with a different IP address. And it is important to pay attention to the IP address, which is 1111, and the listening port, which is 113, because this is important, because once the payload has been activated on the victim side, the reverse TCP is going to be created with connection to the specific IP address and port number. Okay, the motivation and objectives are due to the fact that several companies have become victims to such attacks and has caused losses in the billions. Now it is important to and besides that, so much sensitive data has been lost and leaked and even sold out to the highest bidder, which is a threat to the privacy. And now we will need to sensitize people on how dangerous such attacks are by showing how such an attack can be implemented. Now the background is we're going to utilize penetration testing itself, the technique of identifying security holes attackers use in computer system, network, and web application. There's also the social engineering aspect. This is mostly psychological strategies used by attackers to mislead victims, take over their systems, and steal sensitive data. Now, the key implementation is going to be that of the reverse TCP, reverse shell, which refers to flaws in the target system to start a shell session and access the victim's PC. The objective is to establish a connection to a distant computer and reroute the target system's shell input and output connections so the attacker can control it remotely. And we're also going to use the Metasploit framework, which is the software which is available on every Kali Linux device used by cybercriminals and also ethical hackers to assess the vulnerabilities and in servers and networks and operating systems. Okay, the literature review. Whatever we had done was based on on something similarly done by Yaswant, Shahid, and Ahmad, whereby they use the GUI, which is known as Armitage. And they also use the SET, the Social Engineering Toolkit, to transmit the payload. However, this cannot be used anymore because it was used on our Windows 7, and the firewall has become way more updated from that time till now. Therefore, it's led to the need of other ways of exploiting. These are the example of the GUI which was used. As you can see, the Yaswant used, it was called Armitage, and as you can see, the kind of controls it can have. For example, in Explore, you can browse files, show processes, log keystrokes, screenshots, and even webcam shot. However, I also like whatever I use does similar attacks, but now on updated systems. So the methodologies and results, I use a Linux operating system as the attacker's device. Updated Windows 11 or even earlier version can be used, which acts as the victim device, the Metasploit framework, and as I had mentioned, as this pen testing software, and Apache server for transmitting the payload. Now, for the first step of performing this attack on the victim's device, real-time protection has to be turned off. This is to allow for executables to be executed on Windows device, since real-time protection prevents that. Besides just manually turning it off, you can use also the PowerShell to turn it off, or you can use hardware interface devices. For example, these flash drives, which if you insert, they execute keystrokes which can perform this. They can manually turn it off within seconds. Okay, so once that is out of the way, the next thing you'll need to look at the IP configuration of the victim device. And you're going to see it down here as 169.254.102, 157. You're going to get back to this exact page at close to the end of my presentation. Now on the attacker side, we're also going to look for the IP address, which we're going to see is 192.168.0.101. This is going to be extremely important in the kind of attack we're going to perform. So it is key to bear in mind this exact IP address. Now, the next thing we're going to do is to start an Apache server. For those who are not aware of what the Apache tool does, it's a server whereby any computer on the same network can access a specific web page, which is hosted by this specific server. So as long as you're in the same network, you can access a specific web page which is available on this folder, the HTML var www HTML folder. So once you start that service here, so it's going to be available to anyone on the internet in the same network. The next thing is, now on the same folder, the HTML folder, we're going to create a payload so that it can be accessible to any computer on the network. To create the payload, we're going to use MSF Venom, which is a Metasploit framework for creating payloads. We're going to specify P for payload. It's going to be Windows, and the architecture is x64, Metapeta, reverse TCP. The listening host is going to be, as I mentioned, the IP address of the Kali Linux device, which is going to be important all the way to the end. And the listening port I randomly chose 1, 2, 3, 4 because I want to avoid certain ports like port 80, which is used for HTTP. Now, -F, this specifies the format, which is going to be exe executable. And now after that, I just create the test.exe. As you can see down here, it says payload size is, and final size 7168 bytes, which means it has been created on this HTML file. So if you're going to look at it on any victim device, any device connected to any device in the same network, we're going to go to this IP address 192.168.0.101 because this is the device which was used to create a Apache server. And this is what we're going to specifically find, the test.exe. Once you click on it, immediately it downloads it. So back to the attacker side, whereby the attacker is going to open the Metasploit framework so that he can create the listener on his side as he awaits you to click on the payload itself on your side, which is the victim side. So they're going to choose the exploit multi-handler, which basically just means multiple exploits can be used together in this one attack. And the specific payload which is going to be used, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be the Windows architecture x64, Metapreter reverse TCP. Listening host still is going to be the IP address of the Kali Linux device, listening port 1234. Then we select exploit, and as you can see, the handler has been started. This is the euphemism of this is just stating that a listener has been started, whereby once someone clicks on the other side, it's going to create a connection, create a reverse connection, hence reverse TCP. So as you can see here, the connection has been established because the victim selected on it. And now it's going to create this Metapreter. And now you can put anything afterwards. After this, you can put anything. Now I chose to write system info, sysinfo. These are one of the commands which are available for the Metapreter. I'm going to show you other commands. Sysinfo, it shows you the kind of information of the system you've just exploited. For example, now the computer name is going to be Fidel OVE, which is my actual name because I use my computer as the victim device, the operating system. It mentions the architecture, everything down here. Next, this, once you select on help, the command help, it's going to give you a list of other commands you can run. This is just a short list. There are over 100 of commands, and I also use some of them, so I'm going to be showing you in a few. So for example, there's the shell command. The shell is going to simulate the exact same shell as I had shown you the first time on the victim side, whereby when you write the IP config, it's going to give you the IP address, which I had mentioned for the first time, the victim's IP address, which was 169.254, 102, 157. This kind of, like, exploiting the shell can be really dangerous, especially for people who are very privy to batch scripting and generally how to use the command prompt in privilege escalation and whatnot. So this is another command, which is the webcam _snap, which takes a picture of the victims. It takes whatever is in front of the victim's webcam without even the victim knowing that the image has been taken, and immediately relays it on the other side of the attacker. It can also perform webcam _record, which causes like the webcam to start recording a video of the victim himself immediately, even without the victim knowing that that is happening. There are also commands like record mic, which is going to cause the microphone of the victim to start recording, and it's going to all happen in real time as the attacker can hear everything as it goes on. These are just some of the attacks that can be done. So let's go to the discussion. The prevention of such attacks can be done by using antivirus that can detect EXEs. Even Windows Defender can detect EXEs and prevent them from being run, because these EXEs are what cause so much damage. The second thing is educating our staff on how to spot these threats and how to encounter them. We should also disable the ability of the executables to run from temp directories. And the last thing is also segregating the network to prevent lateral movement in instance of compromise, whereby if one computer is compromised, it should not be able to get through to the entire network of computers that are available. So in conclusion, like, the people who are mostly targeted to these attacks are the ones who are not privy of such attacks, the ones who are not careful with their behavior on the internet and provide personal information without any kind of reservations. They grant access to system resources to an application, even though it's not essential. And simple preventive measures include verifying items like emails, email attachments, permissions granted to install programs, sharing of personal information, ensuring the legitimacy of websites before downloading content, and routinely monitoring the news. So basically, this is it for my project. Thank you.
Thank you, Faisal, for your nice presentation. So I'd like to ask you, what was the motivation for doing this kind of research?
I was motivated by the fact that I was surprised by how these attacks keep on happening, and I wanted to understand exactly how they implemented, how easy it is, and I also wanted to show other people how easy it is for such an attack to be done.
Okay, good. And does it work for the mobile also, or only the PC?
Yes, as I'd shown you, the payload I had done was specifically Windows x64 stroke Metapreter reverse TCP. There's also Android stroke x64, which means the same attack can be done on an Android phone, and is also for iOS.
You tried that, right?
I have performed, yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't matter the computer or the mobile is using the IP address version 4 or version 6, it will work.
Yes, because
Yeah.
the most important thing is the IP address of the Kali Linux itself.
Interesting. So how can you use it in ethical way then?
I believe the ethical way is just the only way I've found out is just educating people on it, because it's not an easy attack to perform. Even once I explain it to someone, it's not that they're going to get on their computers immediately and do it, but at least they'll be able to understand the severity of such an attack, and they can be more careful. So it acts more as a teaching guide on how to avoid giving out certain informations or downloading extensions and whatnot.
Right. Interesting. Thank you so much for your nice presentation, and also for presenting in the conference. And yeah, thank you. You can, if you want to stay, you can stay, or you can leave now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Now it's time to move to the next presenter, but I think he is not available, but I can see the presenter number 6 is there. Can you start now? And somebody is trying to be connected also.
Oh, it's me.
So I think it's not your time yet, but if the presenter number 3 and number 5 are not there, you can start. So let me check who is that trying to be connected. Okay. Even though your time is 12:40, but
Okay, wait a minute, please. I need to make sure that there's no sound can bother me. Wait a minute.
okay.
Okay, I will share my.
So you can do it, yeah. So your presentation will be about the implementation of augmented reality to promote the civil engineering through laboratory facilities, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, please start.
Okay, good morning. Okay, I would like to present my research. The title of my research is Implementation of Augmented Reality to Promote Civil Engineering through Laboratory Facilities. My name is Sapitri, and the other authors are Ana Yulianti, Gita Bella Damayanti, and Harmiati. We are from Universitas Islam Riau, Indonesia. So the issue is the importance of laboratories in the construction industry and the educational institution. There are several functions of the laboratory, especially for civil engineer, as spaces for testing material, quality, data collection, surveys, and scientific visits. as places for training, practical and experimental learning centers for students, provides essential insight and in-depth understanding of the actual work that the student will deal with in the real world. Of course, after they are graduated from the university. In educational institution, laboratory is a facility in the learning process of student. So the user of this laboratory, not only the student from its university, but also from the outsiders, such as contractor, consultant, and the owners, as well as the prospective student for the higher education. I mean, from the the level, yep, like a student from the what we say, high school. And using augmented reality as a technology that many people talk right now is an effective way because augmented reality can carry virtual information, so it is very potential to be used as a promotional medium. This research aims to make the augmented reality of a civil engineering laboratory and cross-check how much this action is needed by its users. So this research uses the markerless method. Markerless method is a method of recognizing images and objects and places in the real world without spatial markers. Markerless doesn't require any spatial knowledge to display its virtual objects at any given point. So there are 5 steps that should be conducted in this research, starting from collecting data, making 3D animation, making user interface, application testing, and validation. The data are collected from 3 laboratories, of course, in UIR, I mean, the object that we, as the research in this, the object in this research, Universitas Islam Riau itself, from the Highway and Geotechnical Laboratory, the Construction Material Engineering Laboratory, and Hydraulic and Hydrology Laboratory. So the equipment from the Highway and Geotechnical Laboratory, totally the equipment are 18, and from the Construction Materials Engineering Laboratory, there are 3 equipment, and from the Hydraulic and Hydrology Laboratory, there are 2 equipment. Okay, the next step is designing and making 3D animation using Blender application. Starting from make 3D object in Blender applications, but the application already available with the feature such as plane, cube, circle, and it can be used to build the physical or the 3D object after the 3D object done, and then give textures and color to the 3D object, continue makes movement the 3D objects, and after the 3D objects done and complete, and then save it and import object to Unity. After that, we making user interface using the Unity application, and starting from installation 3D Unity 3D, import augmented reality core to, I'm not sure how to say it in informatic field, SDK to Unity, because I'm not come from the informatic engineering department, so I think I'm sorry if I made mistake. And then import object to Unity. If there's no other animation, so create augmented reality application buttons such as start, main menu, info, exit, language, next, previews, and the name buttons of lab tools display in augmented reality. And after that, build augmented reality in application format. The next step is application testing. So the testing is to make sure the application performs well with good quality. The testing consists of the light intensity, distance, and angle, and also type of object tracking. This information will be necessary as the requirement for Android, where the augmented reality will be run. And the last one, user validation, is to see the user perception of augmented reality application implementation. The respondents are high school students because they are potential prospective students at university, which requires information about a university, including its laboratory. So this is the result and discussion. We can see from display, there are buttons, start, direction, profile, and exit. If we click start, so it will display the group of the laboratory, such as geotechnic and highway laboratory, hydraulic and hydrology laboratory, construction material laboratory. So if we click one of the groups, so such as geotechnic and highway laboratory, it will be show the equipment of the laboratory. For example, there are 13 equipment in this research for the geotechnic and highway laboratory. This is the application testing. Start from the light intensity testing. It consists of outdoor and indoor. So from the outdoor, nighttime without lamp, light, and indoor, no light, will not appear the 3D objects, and we consider they are as unsuccess in this research. And for the success in the outdoor and indoor, such as daytime, nighttime under lamplight, bright light lamp, low light lamp. So the varying waiting time from the indoor from 1 to 5 seconds, and indoor approximately from 2 to 10 seconds, with light intensity in outdoor 225 in daytime lux in the time, and 30 lux in condition nighttime under lamplight, and indoor 55 lux bright lamp, and 8 lux in condition low light lamp in indoor testing. So this is the result of the light intensity testing. And this is the display of the application in outdoor testing and indoor testing. So there's no object 3D, I mean a 3D object can be seen in this picture for the nighttime testing without lamp, and in the no light in indoor testing. Distance testing shows that only distance 5 centimeters no appear the 3 objects we consider as unsuccess, and for the 10, 50, 100, 200 centimeters, the object can be appeared, or we can see the objects. And this is the display of the application. So for feature A, there is no object that we can see in distance 5 centimeters. Object tracking testing. So when object tracking on the white paper for camera, so there's no 3D model object can be appear or not appear, so we consider it as unsuccess as well. And this is the picture with pictures A. There's no object that we can see plain white paper for camera. So for the 3 others, we can see the object well. Validation of augmented reality application involves 20 respondents from high school students. The questionnaire consists of 5 questions from each. There are easiness of use of application features, similarity of animation models with real ones, easiness of understanding information in the application benefit for users, and the last one, easiness of recognizing the appearance of the application menu. So after the students use or has experience used application on their own mobile phone, so they ask with these 5 questions. So they will give the response after that, and the scale that used in this research from 1 to 4, not good, less good, good, and very good. The result of the validation shows that 88.75% of respondents stated that the use of menu and application features was easy to do. 97.5% said that animated 3D objects were similar to the real thing. 90% stated that the information on the application was easy to understand. 97.5% agreed that the application was helpful for users, and 75% agreed that the appearance of the application was easy to recognize. So generally, 94.5% of respondents argued that the overall application was excellent. The conclusion from this research has successfully made an augmented reality application for promoting civil engineering through laboratory facilities based on Android. A set of tests such like intensity, distance, and object tracking was conducted to ensure the application worked well. This augmented reality application can display 3D animated object at distant range of about 5 centimeters to 100 centimeters with a waiting time about 5 to 10 seconds. The use of this application, both indoors and outdoors, will require light intensity above 5 lux with a waiting time 10 to 15 seconds to replace 3D objects. So based on the user validations, it is 94.5% of respondents agreed that this application helped promote and introduce civil engineering laboratory equipment. Okay, this is the end section of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your nice presentation. So may I ask you, what is your major?
I am from Civil Engineering Department.
Okay, and this application, who can get benefits from this application, you think?
Actually, because of this purpose, focus on the higher student, and we want to promote the laboratory to attract the students to come to UIR as a civil engineering student. So the mainly purpose is the prospective student from the high skill.
Why don't you select a sample from the university? Because the high school students, they have limited knowledge about the laboratory and also the interaction with these objects. Why don't you try to make your survey on the university students, because they have already experience on using the real materials and objects in the laboratory?
Yeah, that's true. I just want several of the students, when we go to the high school students, because I am also in civil engineering structure as a secretary of the department. So I think to attract the student is the purpose of this research, but it doesn't mean that the other student can use this application. When we went there, the students just don't have any idea, but interested to be a civil engineer because they want to be a civil engineer, a builder, but don't have the image. I mean, they know about the civil engineer have laboratory, but don't know the function of the equipment. So we want to know them. When we know that, okay, this is actually, the main point is to want to share the information and want them to attract and have a basic information about the laboratory, because this application also, if this application used to the student of this university, I think it will need the improvement. So it is just basic information actually, because just to promote and give basic information to the student in high school.
Okay, and for using this application, the user can use only mobile, or there will be some kind of spatial equipments for the virtual reality?
I think as for just for the mobile phone, we already tried to use the Android. Yep.
Okay.
It didn't work in computer.
Then okay. Thank you so much. It is
my pleasure. My
thank
pleasure.
you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Now it's time to move to the next presentation, which will be presented, which will be about the, I think presenter number 5 is here.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Yeah. So you are number 3. Okay. So let me check the, I think it's time now for presenter number 5, because your time was at 11:40. So I will give the priority to the presenter number 5. After that, we can go back to your presentation. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sir, I'm presenter number 5. So may I go ahead with the presentation?
Okay, I will make you now.
Actually, so we're both presenting in this discussion. So we'll both be presenting simultaneously. We're both presenter 5.
Yeah, because I'm receiving a chat message from presenter number 3. That's why I have to clarify that we have time schedule. So now it is the time for the presenter number 5. So you can start because you are already the co-host. So you can share your presentation and you can start.
Vishwan, you can go ahead.
Sure, but it is showing that host disabled participants can sharing, not sure.
No, you are co-host, presenter number 5. Try again.
Yeah. Let me know if my screen is visible.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see.
Sure. So good morning, everyone. With this, I would like to get started. Myself, Vishwan Ghosh from 4th year Computer Science Engineering. We also have with us Sohini Ghosh, the other author, who is also from Computer Science Engineering. So basically, we have discussed about the routing mechanisms for unmanned aerial vehicles and how we can improve or improvise upon that so as to get a better result and a higher efficiency. So today we will be discussing about the introduction followed by literature review, in which we will be covering various types of routing protocols as well as ARML routing protocol, at the same time some of the conventional routing protocols and the interoperability between various routing protocols. So before diving deep into the routing protocols, we should know what a UAV actually is. So UAV is basically a macro, or it can be a mini aircraft which can be controlled with the help of onboard computers autonomously or via remote control with the help of human interaction. UAVs are nowadays being used for various purposes like crop monitoring, estimation of water status, management of construction site, land use classification, and various other problems. The main reason behind the use of UAVs to solve all this problem is that they can be used with higher economic feasibility. For example, if you talk about crop monitoring, so if this crop monitoring task was done manually, it would have been a labor extensive and it would have involved a huge amount of cost. At the same time, if we are using UAV for this purpose, it has helped us to do the same task with a lesser cost and higher efficiency at the same time. Now, UAV is a crucial instrument in the mining sectors as well. Mining sector can be broadly classified into 3 types, that is exploration, exploitation, and reconciliation. Yeah. So UAVs have the ability to be fitted with various types of cameras and sensors. Sensors can be like magnetic, natural, gamma ray sensors, and we are having various types of cameras. So with this cameras and sensor, we can identify the regions very nicely, and not only we can get an optical image, we can also get electromagnetic spectrum region and various other types of identification we can do with the help of these sensors fitted on the UAV. In this paper, we have classified the routing protocol into various types. For example, depending on the working nature, it can be classified as centralized or distributed, while depending on the route determined, it can be probabilistic or deterministic. We will be discussing them in details in the following slides. Now I would like to discuss about the networking in UAVs. So we are all acquainted with the term networking because we all use mobile devices, but the But in case of UAVs, networking is a bit difficult and a bit different also. Because in case of UAVs, the UAVs are dynamic because they are subjected to movement and topological changes. As a result, we have to keep this constraint while working on networking in the field of UAVs. Based on the nature, routing algorithm can be classified into various types. Firstly, I would like to talk about centralized and distributed routing algorithm. In case of centralized routing algorithm, a central node or a particular single node is responsible for getting information about all other nodes in the network. So the central node can easily calculate the best end-to-end path between the two UAVs. While in case of distributed routing algorithm, there is no single node which has the information of all other nodes, but each node has partial information about its neighboring node. Similarly, based on the policy of decision making or how the decision is made, they can be classified into deterministic and probabilistic. Thirdly, and lastly, coming to the static and dynamic algorithm. So in case of static algorithm, the end-to-end path is figured out at the starting of the runtime process. While in case of dynamic algorithm, the end-to-end path is not determined at the starting, and the runtime changes or the changes in the network while the process is being executed is taken into consideration, while this thing is not taken into consideration in the case of static algorithms. So with this, I would like to hand over to Shohini. You can take over.
Yes, thank you, Bishwan. So we come to the part. Am I audible, Bishwan?
Yeah, sure.
Hello.
Yeah, you are
Am I
audible.
audible? Okay, okay. So now we come to the part of the literature review where we compare several works done by different authors. So at first we have a paper written by C. Zhang and S. Zhang in 2011, and the topic is multi-party collision avoidance. And in this paper, there was a comparison to WCA, LID, HD, and the cluster duration was increased by 500%, and also the frequency reaffiliation was reduced by 70%. In second point, we have Lin and the corresponding authors who have written the paper on geographic position mobility oriented routing in 2012. And in this paper, it enhanced the packet delivery efficiency and reduced the delay in the network. Next, we have a paper written by Y. Lai and the corresponding authors in 2012. And the topic was flooding and mobility prediction based RGR. And in this paper, the packet delivery ratio got increased by 10% and the end-to-end delay was reduced by 20%. And lastly, I would take the example of a paper written by S. Rossetti and the corresponding authors in 2013. And it was about the position-based optimized link state routing. And in this paper, the outage time was reduced by 85% and a more good stable input was achieved. Next slide, please. So it's just the continuation of the previous slide. Due to time constraint, I cannot explain in detail of all the papers, but as you can see in the screen, we have compared the above papers in our paper. Next slide, please. Okay, now we come to the type of routing protocols that we have mentioned, and we'll be discussing one by one. Next slide. So first we have the static routing protocol. So a static routing protocol is a type of routing protocol used in computer networks to manually configure routing tables. Unlike dynamic routing protocols that automatically exchange routing information and dynamically update routing tables, static routing protocols require network administrators to manually configure the routes. Next, we have the proactive routing protocol. So a proactive routing protocol is a type of routing protocol that continuously maintains up-to-date routing information regardless of network changes or traffic demands. Proactive routing protocol builds and maintains routing tables in advance, enabling quick and efficient packet forwarding. These protocols actively exchange routing updates among network nodes to ensure that the most current node information is available. Next, we have the reactive routing protocol. So reactive routing protocol, also known as the on-demand routing protocol that establishes routes only when needed in response to a specific request or traffic flow. Unlike proactive protocols that maintain routing information proactively, reactive protocols create routes on demand, reducing the overhead associated with continuous routing updates. Next, we have the hybrid routing protocol. So a hybrid routing protocol combines elements of both proactive and reactive routing protocols to leverage their respective advantages. It aims to strike a balance between maintaining up-to-date routing information and adapting to dynamic network conditions. By incorporating proactive and reactive mechanisms, hybrid protocols provide efficient routing in networks with changing topologies and varying traffic patterns. Next slide, please. Okay, next we have the position-based routing protocol. So a position-based routing protocol is a type of protocol used in wireless networks where nodes communicate based on their geographic positions rather than traditional network addresses. These protocols leverage the location information of nodes to determine the next hop node for forwarding data packets. By utilizing position information, such as the GPS coordinates, nodes can make intelligent routing decisions and efficiently deliver data to the intended destination. This approach is particularly useful in ad hoc and sensor networks where nodes may be highly mobile or have limited resources. Next, we have hierarchical routing protocol. So hierarchical routing protocol is a type of routing protocol that organizes network nodes into hierarchical structures to facilitate efficient routing. In this protocols, nodes are grouped into different levels or tiers based on their network roles or positions. Each level has a designated set of nodes responsible for handling routing within that level. And at last, we have the probabilistic routing protocol. So a probabilistic routing protocol is a type of protocol that incorporates probabilistic algorithms and techniques to make routing decisions in dynamic and uncertain network environments. These protocols use probabilistic methods to estimate the likelihood of successful data delivery and choose the most promising path accordingly. Next slide, please. Okay, so with that, I would like to hand over to Bishwan again to carry forward with the slides. You can go on, Bishwan.
So now I will be discussing some of the AI-enabled routing protocol. So AI-enabled routing protocol can be broadly classified into two types, that is topology predictive routing protocol and self-adaptive learning-based routing protocol. Firstly, I would like to discuss the topology predictive routing protocol. It basically uses machine learning algorithm for predicting the motion trajectories of the node and finally implements them into the trail selection mechanism. There are many routing protocols which we have cited in the paper, which use the approach of trajectory prediction for enhancing the performance of the routing mechanism. Next, coming to the self-adaptive learning-based routing protocol. So as the name suggests, this is a learning-based routing protocol, and hence it uses the concept of reinforcement learning to take routing decisions online and continuously observe the surroundings. It takes into consideration various matrices like throughput, efficiency, delay, fairness, and energy. At the same time, the protocol has the ability to learn by itself from the experience, and hence it is a major advantage of this self-adaptive learning-based routing protocol. Moving to the next slide, I would like to discuss about interoperability. The most popular and frequently used protocols is the MAV link protocol. However, this is an open source protocol and it is not very reliable and secure. But there are other protocols which are used in the field of army and military, but we don't have much documentation on them because of privacy reasons. We have cited a paper in 19 which suggests a communication link between MAV link and STANAG 4586, as this interoperability was suggested by A.V. Rodriguez. With this, I would like to conclude. At the same time, I would like to discuss some of the areas in which we can have research further, like the connectivity. So UAVs have wireless communication, and communication with the help of wires or cables is not at all possible in the case of UAVs. Hence, communication is limited, and we need to ensure so as to enforce seamless information sharing or information exchange between the UAVs. Second, it comes the recognition. Sharing of information among UAVs to improve the perception of the environment is a bit challenging because of the limited performance of the sensors and limited observability. So we can try to improve the specifications of the UAV so as to eliminate this, not to eliminate, but to reduce these limitation up to a greater extent. Thirdly, it comes the human interaction. In case of multi-UAV surveillance system, the potential impact not only like depends on the UAVs, but it also depends on the coordination between the UAV or the system of UAV and the human who is interacting with it. Hence, autonomous systems or autonomous UAVs are very crucial in the field of managing UAV system because they do not need any kind of human interaction and they are also faster compared to those UAV systems which need human interaction. With that, we have cited some of the references over here, and that's from us. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your nice presentation. So from the presentation, I can see that your work is kind of review. What is the main contribution of your work?
Sir, we have reviewed some of the papers which discuss some of the various routing protocols as well as interoperability. So yeah, this is a review paper. So like from our end, nothing has been added much into this.
Yeah, even the literature, yeah, I mean, the cited works is somehow not updated because I could see the papers from 2011, 12 up to just 13. So I think you need to do more research to find the most recent published work in this area.
Actually, sir, we have incorporated the recent ones in our actual paper, but since this is a slide and we need to take some examples, there were actually 13 research papers that we took up for references. But these are some of the papers that we incorporated in our slides. But we have the most recent ones in our actual paper.
Okay. So I think you need to cite more articles and you have to show them in the presentation because I cannot see that much contribution from your side. You are just collecting information from other papers and even the comparison between these the works. You compared the protocols, but you didn't compare the recent published works in this area and what is the main. You didn't emphasize about your contribution in this field. So as I suggested, more research has to be conducted to find the most recent published works in this domain. Okay.
Okay, sure, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now let's move to the next presentation. So presenter 3, I'm going to assign you as a co-host so that you can start sharing your slides. Are you still available?
Yes, I'm still available.
Okay, so please start. You can share the slides. Okay.
Can you see my slide?
I think it's coming. Wait. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, good. Good morning. My name is Kennedy Yokokuje. I have some other persons' rights as the co-authors. I'm presenting on their behalf, presenting development of a lower cost surveillance system using an ESP-2023 CAM, IoT, and WIMO application programming interface. These are my outline and my introduction. Security, as we all know, is very, very important when it comes to the society and the global view. So it's always hard to ignore security when it comes to vandalization and criminal elements. So as a result of that, security is thought to be a critical infrastructure when it comes to that of nations and that of individual homes. But especially over here, over in Africa or some other country, it's difficult actually to have a surveillance camera or equipment because of the cost. So the aim actually of this was to actually develop a lower cost real-time security monitoring system, and we designed and implemented a lower cost by actually successfully working on the detection and also not only working on the ability to detect intrusion, we're able to also do in such a way that a GSM message can be sent to the owner of the property or the home to actually tell there's an intrusion, and is they are done real time. So what is significant of this work we did? First and foremost, it will help human intervention, whereby to maximize resources. It will help reduce human interference by maximizing resources, eliminate time and power wastage. That is actually what the work is all about. Also, it can be applied in homes. It's cost effective. The purpose of the surveillance system that is very, very cost effective. It can be affordable by even the lower class citizen. It's easy to monitor through the cloud because it's also cloud related because it's real time. Now, in trying to carry out this construction, carry out this work, we looked at what other people have done prior before now. We discovered that, okay, when it comes to security, in the literature, what people have done, they use different components. Some used as far as night components, and Pater actually used a smart motion detection system using Raspberry, but there was no GSM feedback actually to tell the owner of the property that, look, something is happening in your home. Also, Ahmed did the same thing with 7 components to actualize. There was eventually all of them actually were not having they were having GSM making it different actually. They were having different. They were not integrated. It was not integrated inside the microcontroller, so which make it a little bit more expensive for the lower class to be able to purchase. Then let's go to the work properly. So the work properly, what we actually did, this is the conceptual framework of the work. So what is it all about? Actually, we have the ESP32 CAM with a microcontroller. which is from the environment. The camera senses whether there is movement around and immediately activates. When there's movement, once it activates, it has the ESP32 has an SD card. They not only has an SD card that records what is going on as soon as it's activated, it transmits to the cloud or to the router, depending on the one you are using. Then it moves down to the GSM. It will send a text message to the GSM of the owner, actually, to alert the owner, look, there is an intruder in the system. That is the conceptual framework. Now, what do we use in realizing this? We just use only 3 components, actually, in realizing this. We use the ESP32 camera, we use the PIR motion sensor, and we use also the micro USB power supply. And these are the 3 components that was actually used, and they are relatively cheap compared to what have been done before now. What would we just the board and check the functionality, then before we transfer it, before we made the PCB and transferred it and assemble our components. Also, this is the pictorial view. This is the pictorial view of the conceptual framework. The pictorial view also, this is an intruder. This is the motion sensor. Once it detects, it activates. Once it activates, then the ESP32 webcam actually which have an inbuilt Wi-Fi, sent the message through the cloud to the owner of the GSM. These are the tests when it was an intruder, and this was a test message that was sent. Okay, this is a demonstration. We used also we use iSmart and as a cloud interface to actually these are the demo. These are the demo. Then we use the iSmart actually is powered by Willow, which is an American cloud communication. Well, we just interface that can easily. That's where we sent. That is the infrastructure actually that we used to interface in sending a text message, and it's there. Is global. Actually, the IPI is global, so it can be used anywhere in the world. The system can be used anywhere in the world. But again, trying to do a comparative analysis of the cost and the material used. I just try to benchmark the work with what some other places have done. Is cover. Again, we use just 3 components, and we have an inbuilt Wi-Fi module in the ESP32 compared to some other work, as I earlier said, that don't have GSM. They use GSM module. They don't have an inbuilt, so making the components more and then more expensive. So, in conclusion, you will agree that we have we succeeded in building a less expensive surveillance camera, surveillance system that can help in intrusion. Then we'll have future recommendation. And thank you.
Okay, thank you for your nice presentation. I have a couple of questions. Let me start with the implementation of this technology that you used. When it comes to the smart home automation, one of the main concern is the privacy. So how can your proposed model can deal with this privacy of people?
Okay, the privacy actually is not being privacy in terms of I want to get your question in terms of probably an eyesight and not seeing. Explain. I'm not getting your question. Well, privacy in terms of
how secure it is, because when it comes to the home automation, it will, like, for example, the camera is installed there, and it will, I mean, collect data about the house or the home environment, and then this information has to be transferred to the cloud, and then from the cloud to the mobile. Again, there is still the privacy of the users of this technology. How secure is your system is?
Yes, the system is secured to the extent that the interface we are using is very, very secured, and doesn't despite it's being despite it's third party actually that you are passing through the cloud, they is secured. They don't interface, they don't interact or interface with the system. So it's secured. It's a standard organization that actually will not tamper with your data. It's just like cloud. A lot of people use cloud. They still keep asking, how secure is our data on the cloud? So most people don't encrypt their data before putting on the cloud, because there are rules. There are rules. So based on the rules, they cannot tamper with your data. So this one is being transmitted to the owner through the cloud. It's a standard where and they don't tamper with that. It's very, very secure.
Okay, and for the microcontroller, there are many types of microcontroller, but you use the ESP32CAM. Why don't you use the Raspberry Pi?
But Raspberry Pi is very expensive compared to ESP32. Very, very expensive. Over here, we use both. We're trying to eliminate that cost also, because it's quite expensive.
What about the range of the PIR motion sensor? What is the range distance in that can be detected by this motion sensor?
Yes, the range is quite high, up to more than 6 meters. So it's quite high.
About how long?
About 6 meters. And the sensitivity can be increased also.
Okay, interesting. So it can be used actually for the security, because it will detect any kind of motion, and if the human is unauthorized user to access the home, it can send alert in terms of like SMS message to the house owner, right?
Yes, and the webcam is activated immediately to record the activities of the intruder.
Okay. Is anything that can be also added to that?
Yes.
Beside the motion detection?
Yes, what can be added is on my recommendation actually. One thing that can be added is implementation of a face recognition system, whereby the intruder, if it's not masked up, can't be recognized immediately, compared with probably a database probably of the city or that area, and the name got in straight away. Then again, can introduce a night vision to enable user to view the intruder in the dark. Then the last is a deep or sleep mode can be enabled to reduce power consumption. So I made 3 recommendations there, which of course for future work actually we get that.
Okay. So if the households decided to buy this, let's say the product, how easy is to install and use this technology?
Yeah, it can be installed by actually the buyer without necessarily there's no much configuration on it. It's very, very easy to install. You might not even need a technical person except you have an issue or along the line installing. So it's very, very easy to install actually.
Okay, thank you. Interesting. Thank you so much for your
Thank
presentation.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir. Sure. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, so now it is the time to have a break time. So we will have a break and then we will be back at 1:20.
Hi, very good noon, everybody. My name is Prima Wahyu Titis.
Welcome back to session 4 of the third International Conference on Smart Computing and Cyber Security, Smart Cyber 2023. Now, let's move to the next presentation. Presenter 10, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Hello. I thought that my schedule will be on 2:20.
Yeah, but
So is it-
because the next presenter is video, so we can make it later on, no problem.
Oh, okay.
And presenter 9 is not available
Presenting.
right now.
Oh, okay. So I
So
can.
yes,
Okay.
you can start. So let me
Mhm.
make you as a co-host so that you can share your slides.
Okay. Wait. Let me prepare for it because I thought that it will be by 12. Okay.
It's okay.
Wait. Okay. So I can share the screen now. Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So wait. Wait a moment. Okay, so apologize for stopping your screen sharing, yeah.
No, it's okay.
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 Okay, so is it clear now? My
Yep.
slide? Okay, so yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to present my slide earlier than the schedule. It really helps me a lot because
Is it okay for you, right?
yeah, it is okay, very okay, because we have the Idul Adha today, so I have to
Same.
yeah, so
Same
this
for
is a
us.
very interesting because the event was held during the Idul Adha.
Yeah.
Happy Idul Adha, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so my article along with my students was about how does technology meet the needs of employees. This was a bit how's it called? Yeah, revised from the previous one because eventually we propose a title that it looks like more on human resources topic. So it's more like the not related a lot with technology. So this is basically we would like to present our research based on our finding about how does employees use technology to help them get the get the knowledge, or even get used to the information system that apply in their company in regards with the human resource management. So probably would like to show the introductions, and probably I will just go through because there are only us in this meeting room. So probably I have the opportunity to discuss this with you as the chair of this event. And the introduction is just like this. This is actually one of the thing that stimulate us to wrote on this kind of research based on the fact that society and individuals were adopting technology for variety needs, and this was also applied for any kinds of organizational environment because they need technology to help them become more efficient and effective in doing business, and that's why we mentioned it in the introduction. So we believe that organization who utilize technology will help themselves to get more accurate and faster decision-making process. And this issue is about how they manage their people, their employees in the company. However, I can just go through here. Okay, so the literatures, basically we use only basic model, the technology acceptance model, where it's still believed applied in this kind of research team. So, but basically because we try to explore what happened within the employees and what are their perceptions in regards to the technology that has been applied in their company, and they know it well as human resource information system. So we put the definitions and explanations about human resource system in the beginning of our literature review, and we show to the audience, to the reader, that what are the urgencies of this systems, the human resource information systems. As we can see here in the slide, we explain about how HRIS, or as the assistance for business in offering. Yeah, well, in fact, it's not just for training courses, but also more than that. But it can help business save a lot of costs in regards to their employee system, and it also offer a way to gather, store, process, and share information with different stakeholders in the organization, and also to help the employees develop their own portfolio. So that will be the beginning of our literature. And after that, we explain about the technology acceptance model. As we know that this model was built from several aspects. First is the performance expectancy, and then the effort expectancy and social influence, and then behavioral intention. That was basically developed based on theory of planned behavior. It was actually not the technology kind of model, but actually it was related with how people would like to, conduct something, because that's why this is probably more into psychological thing. But then we have to use this part as part of our discussion in our model, because we believe that in fact people will use the technology not just because they are perceiving the usefulness of the technology for them to help them do some activities in their daily activities, but however it also related with how people would like to have the intention to use the technology. So we have to utilize this model, this concept as well in our model. And then about the usage of the human resource information system, because we would like to assess whether the employees were using this information system and believe that it has usage in their daily activities in their office. As a method in this part, we mentioned about the approach that we use in this research basically is quantitative, because we are going to examine the model of research framework, and we distribute questionnaires, and we use analytical procedures. Usually we use SAM for this kind of research, but then we applied the type. We know that there are two types of structural equational modeling, but because this is part of the exploration, so we still choose the PLS SAM to become as the analytical procedure, and we distribute the questionnaire using the non-probability sampling method. They are all originated from companies that has applied the human resource information system for some times, and they know the system well from their company, and we collect this data, using the one-shot or cross-sectional, because we don't do any collection of data after we have the first, and that would be the last time we ask the respondent to fill in the survey. So we didn't do any modifying in the data. So we just let it be like that and then analyze it using the statistical tool. And however, I think this is probably one of the thing that we have to show in this paper about the results and discussions. The results, we got the respondents almost 120, but we are not achieving that. We just got the 116 responses, and they are from backgrounds because we have already set up the characteristic that all the respondents that they can fill the survey were from company that applying human resource information system. So we do not differentiate between the system that they applied, but as long as they have that application implementation, then we ask the respondents to to fill in the items that was presented in the questionnaire. So in order to assure that the data are valid and reliable, we use the APE and also some other considerations that usually related with the PLSM and to this kind of research, we found out that there are many factors apart from what we have researched will be open or becoming the opportunities to explore later on in the future research, because the R square was only 38.9%. So it looks like more than 50% out of the factors that we look out for from this research are not yet been explored. So it still have the possibility to explore in later future research. And the degree of significance of each link of the hypothesis pass, but then some of the hypotheses are not proved because it's not supported because it has more than more than 0. So we find that our research demonstrate that belief that the performance expectation influence behavior desire to utilize HRM is not validated, meaning that it's not supported, so that the employees perceive that technology that was used more than one time in the company that has been done by them when within the company, they found out that the performance is not met. It's not yet meet the expectation from their point of view. Probably as the user of that kind of technology, they expect more than what they see or what they applied now. And about the performance expectation and behavior intention to use HRIS, seems like it has relationships, and it will relate, or it will have a relationship, a very strong relationship between performance expectation, because if the respondents see this as the system will meet their expectation, then they will use the technology to help their activities. Okay, and the impact of effort expectations on HRIS usage, finding of this research resulted that it has not in the support the HRIS usage. So meaning that if the employees who use the technology were expect that the effort that they will pull out from themselves to use the information system or the technology, it will not affecting the usage, or the how far will the HRIS can be used in the company, and also about the expectations on behavior intention. We found that it also not not supported. So the impact of effort expectation will not affect the behavior intention. So they will not use the HRIS because they have no expectations in regards with their efforts. Okay. And also about the relationship between behavioral intention to use on HRS, on HRS usage. Yes, it has also, it was not also, sorry, it will have the strong relationship, because the behavior intention to use will directly affect the usage of the technology of the immersive information system. And also about the social influence, also this also supported, and this result also supported. So if the whole employees in the company support the use of the kind of technology, so it will also support everyone to use the same, they will have the same understanding on using this kind of technology. So social, so in simple terms, that social will have influence on bringing up everyone to use this kind of technology, as long as they support it. And also about the social performance, it also will have, it will support the behavior intention. So meaning that every kind of supports from social will let everyone also use the same thing. Okay, so these are probably the references that we are not we're not including the references, but it will be we can find it in the paper. Okay, I think that's all for me, sir.
Thank you, Professor. Nice presentation.
Thank
and
you.
also interesting topic. So I think it is related to the
Mhm.
so-called nowadays the digital transformation.
Yes,
So
thank you. Yeah.
the companies, they have to utilize the information system in terms.
Mhm.
I mean, if they want to be a competitive in the digital market nowadays. For your model, so why don't
Yeah,
you?
sorry, we didn't put in the slide. Sorry. I
So
forgot to put that.
is it based on the TAM model, or which
Yes.
model is it? TAM?
Yes, basically it was developed based on TAM model, and we know that we also understand that TAM model also include the TPB, the theory of planned behavior. So it's look like inseparable, between those two models. So yes, we modify it. Basically, this was a replication on previous research. It was like a few years ago was made, this kind of research, and then we adapt it for our what is it, objective. So we didn't do any radical adaptation. So not adaptation, but modification. So we just drop the model from the previous research, and then we assess it using our situations in Indonesia, because we know that but it's still lack of respondents, I know, because it was only 116. It cannot be generalized to all of the company in Indonesia, but at least we know that for some of reasons why people use this kind of technology here in our case, probably because of the pressure of the supports from their surroundings, but because they don't feel the usability, they don't feel that their expectations were met only by their self. Basically by just a motivation from others. So they need external motivation more than their internal motivation to use this kind of technology. Probably because our adoptions to new technology is a bit, challenging. But for this kind of issue, yeah, sir, I don't think that to other issues about technology, we have that kind of problem because we have a limited, scope of research.
Okay, interesting. How about the sample? Your sample is from how many companies?
Well, basically we include 5 companies.
Mhm.
So they send around 20 respondents. They select the respondents, and all of them, the 20 respondents, were actually work in the HR unit. So they probably use this kind of technology a lot because they are in that unit. And that's why we believe that this is probably can capture the phenomena, but not too deep, because this is only at the beginning. It's just the beginning stage. And I believe that if we could develop more model, or actually we have to look at or evaluate the model more, because the R-square that we found from the research analysis was only 38.9%. So we believe there are still many factors that we haven't found and we haven't elaborated in this model.
Yeah, right. I think it's also good if you could check or test the effect of some moderating variables, like the education level of these people.
Interesting.
And maybe sometimes the gender, sometimes the age. This kind of moderating variables can be used to find out to make a comprehensive analysis for your research. But it's really interesting. Thank you so much. I think no more questions. So
thank you very much. Yeah.
So now you can go and enjoy your Eid. And
thank you. And you too. Thank you very much. Okay.
Eid Mubarak.
Okay. So see you, sir, next time, probably next year. Goodbye. Assalamualaikum.
Eid Mubarak. Eid Mubarak. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay. Now 2 presentations are left, but let me play the video of the next presentation, which is about the toward crops prediction in Indonesia. So I have the recorded video for this lecture.
Hi, very good noon everybody. My name is Prima Wahyu Titisari. Me and my co-author are Dr. Habib Azan Asution, Dr. Elvis and Mrs. Winda Monica. We are from Indonesia, from Universitas Islam Riau and Lancang Kuning University. Let me introduce my paper with the title is Toward Crops Predictions in Indonesia. Agricultural roles and contribution in the modern era of globalization are crucially important. On the other hand, climate change will impact crop growth, yields, and agricultural production. Recently, numerous researchers have introduced numerous machine learning models to address problems in diverse fields, including agriculture. So the purpose of this study is to forecast future crops in Indonesia based on temperature, precipitation, soil conditions, and humidity datasets. This study utilizes Indian datasets as Indonesian datasets are not yet available. The employed methodology consists of 5 stages. The first step describes the data collection process using 2 recommended plants for suitable soils. The second phase, a description of the library to be used alongside exploratory data analysis will be provided. The third stage examines the interrelationships between the variables in the datasets. In the fourth stage, the relationship between numerical variables and one or more categorical variable is demonstrated. And the last stage discusses machine learning techniques used for making predictions, such as decision tree, support vector mechanisms, random forest, and KNN. Okay, this data is relatively simple with very few yet useful features, unlike the complicated feature affecting the yield of the crops. The data have nitrogens, phosphorus, potassium, and pH values for the soil humidity, temperature, and rainfall required for a particular crops. There are 2,200 records containing 22 plant species, which are rice, maize, chickpea, and others. The average bioactivity soil temperature ranges from 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. These values are favorable for the normal life function of the biota, which ensure proper decomposition of organic matters and metabolism. The pH range between 5.5 to 6.5 is optimal for plant growth due to the optimal availability nutrients and rainfall. In addition to disease can affect the rate at which crops grow from seeds, including when it is ready for harvest. Okay, this figure shows the data distribution of the data set. It is shown that most of the data is between a temperature of 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, which is a similar temperature range for agriculture in Indonesia. And the experiments are conducted several times with different parameters for its algorithm to find the optimal parameters. The decision tree classifier parameter experimented are base splitter and random splitter. For the support vector machine classifier, the regulation parameters C experimented are ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands, and the kernels are RBF and linear. For the random forest classifier, the N estimator are ones, 5, and tens. Lastly, for the cake nearest neighbor classifier, the number of neighbors are 5, 10, 20, and 25. Ladies and gentlemen, the 4 machine learning models are compared with accuracy as an evaluation metric. The optimal parameter of each algorithm is also shown in these tables. The best performing algorithm is random forest with the accuracy of 0.989697. And this figure predicted potential crops in Indonesia based on temperature. In the temperature of range of 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, which temperature is optimal for the growth of some of plants in Indonesia, such as Celutung, coconut, rubber, clove, coffee, cocoa, jackfruits, and other indigenous plants. Okay, this figure depicts the potential crop predicted for Indonesia based on prevailing humidity, Other than the plant species depicted in the image, all of the aforementioned plant type thrive in a humidity range between 5.5 and 7.2. According to Smith and Ferguson, the season in Indonesia fall between the moderately humid category in terms of humidity. This is supported by Indonesia's geographical locations, which is within the equatorial zones, and it is favorable climatic conditions for photosynthesis. Therefore, climatological engineering can increase the productivity of these diverse plant species. And from this paper, we conclusion that machine learning can be used to predict the type of Indonesia agriculture crops that can be grown under condition of 20 to 30 degrees Celsius temperature, humidity of 5.5 to 7.2%, and soil nutrient contents like nitrogen and phosphorus. The use of machine learning can help farmers increase their crop yields. This is because the data utilized by machine learning can also assist farmers in determining of optimal planting and harvesting times. The results show that random forest model can predict the suitable crops to be planted on specific soil and weather conditions using the Indian datasets. The next step is to implement the model with Indonesian data sets. Okay, thank you.
It was a nice presentation. The questions will be shared by email. Two more presentations are left, so we'll be waiting for them. Welcome again. This is the end of the session 4, technology. And so thank you for all participants. And I'm looking to seeing you in the closing ceremony at 3:30. Thank you so much.